I'm here with Nurse Johnson. Nursing is a trade for most people who don't know, but it is a trade. How you doing, Miss Johnson?
I'm good. How are you? Thanks for having me.
No problem. Thank you for being a guest on Write Us Live. We really appreciate you very much. So, what is the process to becoming a nurse?
The first step is to, do your research and see what school you might want to enroll in, apply to. Look at all the prerequisites that you may need to take before you get into the program, because most programs you got to take certain prerequisites, meaning certain courses, in order to apply to the program. So usually that's two separate steps. So you apply to the school, then you apply for the nursing program in and of itself. So first do your homework, do your research, and once you get in, you do those classes that you need to take in order to get into the program. Once you do that and you get a step into the nursing program, then you will, start and take those courses for nursing.
Okay. I heard that it's a real strenuous process into preparing for taking a state board. How do you prepare for the state board as a nurse?
Um, well, studying. So basically, when you do the different rotations in nursing programs, so at the beginning of the nursing program, you'll take, um, basic nursing. So you'll learn how to take care of the patient, wash the patient, ambulate the patient, meaning help them get up, walk, and all that stuff. So you basically, build on to your skills. So everything you learn in school, you're going to take that and apply, you know, keep that knowledge because you'll need it for the state boards. Um, in my personal experience, I felt like the test that was in school was so much harder than the board exam because they really, prepare you. Your program is going to really prepare you to pass that board on the first try. But you have to put in the work to sit down and study and go over whatever you're not in understanding and getting that help so that you'll be successful the first time around because you want to pass your boards the first time.
Okay. Um, what was the catalyst um, that inspired you to get into nursing? How did you get into nursing? What piqued your interest about nursing?
I was always interested in science and how the body works and everything. And I started taking science classes and prereqs and stuff. And I got really interested in the medical side, so I decided to look into nursing. Because it was shorter than being a doctor, because doctors go to school for a long time. So I felt like nursing would be a good foot into the medical field.
Okay. What are some of the career paths in nursing?
Um, there's a lot that you can do with nursing. It just depends on what's your interest. You can be a pediatric nurse if you like working with kids. You can be a school nurse if in that environment if you like working with with kids. You can work with adults, geriatric, which is the elderly population. So a lot of times, a lot of nurses might start out in long-term care, taking care of the elderly. You can work with adults, uh, medical surgical unit, ICU, with working with critical care type patients that's really critical. Medical surgical, as I said, rehab. So someone in a car accident, they have to rehabilitate and learn how to walk or a stroke or anything. You can be that type of nurse. So it's a lot of options that a lot of different things you can do in nursing.
Okay.
So if you get bored in one part, you can always look into doing something, a different specialty.
Okay. That I think that's very good. Um, what are the typical nurse hours? What are the typical hours of a nurse?
So it depends on the hospital or place you work. But your hours can range from if it's 8 hours, 7 to 3:30. If it's evening, 3 to 11. If it's overnight, 11 p.m. to 7 a.m. Some places you work 12-hour shifts instead of 8. So your hours can be either 7 a to 7 p or 7 p to 7 a in the morning. So it just depends on the place you work and the typical hours they have, but usually between 8 to 12 hours is the range of your daily hours.
Okay.
With the 12 hours, you might have a little more days off though.
Okay. Would you like to elaborate on that? Like maybe.
So, so if you work 12-hour shifts, you might work 3 shifts that week, be off a couple of days, and then work your weekend because you do have to put in weekend hours every other weekend. Most places require you to work every other weekend, so you do have to, work a weekend or two out of the month.
Do nurses usually have multiple jobs, like work at a
Oh yes,
hospital here, do home health during this time? You could really hustle with nursing.
yes you can. So you can. Most nurses usually start out because when I started, I had 2 jobs. So I worked full time over here, and I might pick up part time at a different place, or pick up, agency, or go registry at a certain place where I can pick up hours when I want, as long as I meet the minimum requirement of hours. Okay, I'm gonna pick up a shift over here, but you have that flexibility, especially if you work in a 12 hours shift, you'll have more days off and you can always pick up, another shift somewhere. So you can always, well, I need a little extra money for this, you can hustle it. Because nurses are always needed and in demand.
So, what is the base pay of a nurse starting out for people who might be interested in this career path?
Um, high in the 20s, like I would say $28, 26, $28 starting as a new grad. And get your raises and your pay go up, and more experience equals more money. So the more experience you have, the more money you can get.
Okay, the more marketable you are based on what you
Mhm.
had to bring it to the table, right?
Yes, exactly. But
Okay,
when I got out of school, it was around 25, but now it's about maybe 28, $30 an hour.
okay, I appreciate that. What are the pros and cons of nursing?
Okay, so the pros, I would say the flexibility with your schedule. So, like I said, if you work the 12 hours, you will have some days off in between, and you have, you just have more flexibility with your schedule. Um, like I said, it's a lot of different specialties. So if you're really, tired of doing one specialty and you've been doing it for a while, you can always look into trying to do a different specialty and build on your skills. So it never gets boring. Um, I would say the cons is, as a nurse, it's really, busy. You're always busy. So you're always on, you're on your feet, you're charting, you're doing a lot of stuff. So I would say with the cons, it's extremely busy. It's very stressful because you got people's lives in your hands. So you have to be on top of things and make sure that your patients are doing well and get them better, because you don't want anything to happen. So you really have to be on it and on top of everything. So it can be stressful, but the pros, I would say, the money that you can make, and the flexibility with your schedule somewhat, because you will have days off. It's not like a typical 9 to 5 type hours. Um, you will always have some days off. You might have a day off during the week. You can take care of business. So you have a little more flexibility than that Monday through Friday type 9 to 5 schedule.
Okay,
So I
so
would
you
say those
have
are the
more
pros.
more flexibility than the average grind for a typical job, right?
Yes, correct.
Is there any type of racism in the nursing field?
Oh yes. Oh yes.
And
Definitely.
can you give us examples?
I would say, as a black nurse, definitely gonna have to work harder. You're gonna have to be smarter than everyone else. You just gotta be top of your game. Like I was summa cum laude of my nursing class. I was on top, the top student. So I think that
Congratulations.
kind of gave
Congratulations.
me, thank you. So I think that kind of gave me an edge. But typically, like in nursing, I can only speak from my experience, but I know that I had to start, you know, at the bottom and work myself, work hard to get to the top. And I think like just certain people didn't have to do that, just being honest. I think as a Black nurse, you got to work harder to get into what you want to do. And a lot
Okay.
of times you might start, in a specialty that you might not like because you really need that experience to even work your way up. And sometimes, like with nursing, I'm sure in other careers as well, it's who you know. So if you know someone, they can get you in, your foot in the door. A lot of times it's like that. If you don't know anyone, you're gonna have to really work hard at it to get your foot in the door because
Okay.
it's gonna be harder for you.
I think I think networking is good in any type of business, you know,
Yes, it is. Yes, it is.
except things that involve illegal activity, but I don't want to go there.
Oh no.
So, what advice would you give someone, you know, no, let me ask you this. I've heard horror stories about working in a nursing home. What is it like being a nurse in a nursing home? Have you ever worked as a nurse in a nursing home?
Yes, I have. That's where I started as a new grad. With the nursing home, oh yes, it can be very stressful in the sense that you have a lot of patients. So you might have on average, so I worked a skilled care nursing floor, and I had about 30 something patients. So you're responsible for all those patients and making sure they have all the treatments they need, all the medications they need. If they have wounds, you got to make sure that they're dressed, you take care of their wounds or anything. And you're responsible for a lot of patients. And usually like assisted living, those type of patients can, move around independently, but they might need you to help them set up their medication or whatnot. But field care is a little more difficult because a lot of the patients are, either have Alzheimer's of some sort, or they can't move around or bed bound. So that can be stressful, working in that environment and the patient load, the high patient load.
Okay.
Because usually in the hospital, you might have less patients, but those patients are more critical in that setting
What
versus the nursing home.
what would a nurse do in a situation where the resident isn't complying with like their diet or something? So say I weigh 300 pounds and I'm a diabetic and I want a supreme pizza and I know I'm not supposed to have it, but I had the money and that's what I want. How does the nurse deal with, the barriers of the patient?
As a nurse, you have to try to, encourage your patients to, lead a healthy lifestyle. You can't force anyone, but you can reinforce the importance of a healthy lifestyle and getting you on track, to get healthier and get your health, you know in check. But that type of patient, you can't force it. Like we can't take his money and say no, you won't be ordering no pizza. You can't do that, but you have to try to tell the patient, look, this is what's going on with you, and you really need to change your lifestyle, your eating habits. And it's really difficult, especially when you're dealing with adults and they're so set in their ways. But you just have to keep encouraging, keep encouraging, keep encouraging, and just lay out the facts. with that type of patient, but you can't like force or take the pizza away or anything like that. Or
There
threaten
is a code of ethics, right?
Yes, yes.
Okay. Last but not least, what advice would you give someone being a new nurse?
Okay. As a new grad, just be prepared, to just get your experience because the experience is really going to open up more doors for you. So if you get an offer at a hospital and they say, okay, we're going to put you over in the rehab unit, go over there and be the best rehab nurse you can be. And that would, allow you to build on your skills. And if you really like it, you'll stay. And if you don't, you'll have options because the importance of, being a new grad is getting that experience on your resume to build up your resume. So you will have, more opportunities. When they see that you have that experience, more doors will open up for you. So don't be too picky when coming out of nursing school without those nursing skills because you need to get in and try to get those skills and build that resume. So that would be my advice for a new grad.
Okay, so this segment of Writers Live is called Final Thoughts. What are your final thoughts for any incoming nurses, current nurses, nurses that's burnt out thinking about giving up? What are your final thoughts?
To those nurses that feel, burnt out, maybe look into other things you can do with your nursing license because there's so many options. You can go back to school, you can teach nursing. If you burnt out at the bedside, or it's a lot, or go into administration if you would like to lead and be that leader. So there are options if you're tired, at the bedside. As a new grad, like I said, try to get that experience and build that resume because that, them skills that you pick up and you can put on your resume, that's going to open up more doors for you. Just stay strong. I know it's stressful and it's hard, but it's a calling and you called to, do this profession and take care of others. I know it's stressful, but just hang in there and know that you have options because there's always other specialties that you can do. And you can always go back to school if you want to become a professor and teach. So it's options out there for you. So
I,
stay, yep.
well, I would like to thank you for joining this segment of Writers Live. Nursing is a trade that's slept on. And there are many options and many things that you can do in this nursing profession. So, Ms. Johnson, I appreciate you for coming through talking to the listeners.
Thank you for having me.
I have one more question though.
Yeah.
Do you have to be a nurse to start like a staffing agency for nurses?
Um, I'm not sure if you have to have one. You might have a business background and can open up one and maybe hire someone that is a nurse that know what to look for as far as, the staffing, if would this person work for the agency, do they have enough experience to work? Because with agency, you got to have those skill sets to be confident to go out and be more independent and take care of patients. So um, I definitely think there should be a nurse involved as far as, opening up your own staffing agency. But I'm not sure if you have to be a nurse to do so. You might can have just a business degree and have a nurse, staffed with you.
I think that would be good to have a nurse, especially an experienced nurse, for consultation reasons and knowledge of
Mhm.
the field as well. So
Mhm.
thank you for coming to Writers Live. I appreciate you. You have a great day.
You too. Thank you.
You're welcome.